The terms Ultimis and Primis refer to two distinct versions of the well-known four characters: Edward Richtofen, Tank Dempsey, Nikolai Belinski, and Takeo Masaki in the Call of Duty Zombies storyline. These two teams come from different dimensions and timelines, leading to their unique personalities, developments, and motivations. While Ultimis is the original, often chaotic and brutal group, Primis represents a more enlightened, mature, and determined version of the characters. Ultimis, the chaotic original. Ultimis, which means the last in Latin, is the first and original version of the four characters, appearing in the classic Call of Duty Zombies timeline. These versions of the characters are darker, more unstable, and often plagued by deep-seated personal issues. The Ultimis timeline is shaped by events triggered by the experiments of Group 935 and the influence of Element 115 on the character's behavior. Ultimis Edward Richtofen. Ultimis Richtofen is perhaps the most cruel and insane version of the German scientist. Here he is thoroughly an antagonist, driven by a lust for power and his own madness. He has conducted gruesome experiments on humans and zombies and plans to gain control over the ether, a mystical dimension that would grant him the ability to manipulate space, time, and reality. Ultimis Richtofen is brutal, ruthless, and indifferent to the lives of others. He intends to manipulate his comrades to achieve his own goals. His plans involve betrayal, murder, and a power grab that could endanger the entire universe. Despite his acts of insanity, Richtofen is a genius whose knowledge of the ether and the workings of the multiverse forms the foundation for many of the events in the zombie storyline. Ultimis Tank Dempsey. Ultimis Dempsey is a tough American soldier who is often aggressive, loud, and very patriotic. He revels in combat and destruction, exhibiting a rough, warrior-like personality. His hatred for Richtofen is deeply rooted, as he knows the German scientist is untrustworthy. Dempsey is often the driving force in Ultimis when it comes to directly combating the undead, but he has little understanding of the larger, metaphysical threats they face. His aggressive and impulsive nature often leads to conflicts with the others, especially with Richtofen. Nevertheless, Dempsey remains a capable fighter, willing to fight to the death to save the world, even if he often appears cynical and disillusioned. Ultimis Nikolai Belinski. Ultimis Nikolai is a tragic figure, with his alcoholism and cynicism defining his personality. This version of Nikolai is much darker than his Primis counterpart, as he is lost in his own depression and despair over the losses of his numerous wives. Although he is an experienced Soviet soldier, Nikolai is often portrayed as the comic relief in Ultimis, retreating into alcohol to numb the emotional pain and traumas of his past. His hatred for Richtofen and constant alcohol abuse often make him an unstable and unpredictable figure. Nikolai is the one in the Ultimis group most haunted by personal demons and often teeters on the edge of madness. Ultimis Takeo Masaki. Ultimis Takeo is a character heavily defined by his loyalty to the Emperor and his sense of honor. In this version, however, Takeo is somewhat more cartoonish and often in a state of distrust and paranoia. He has a deep, almost fanatical dedication to his Japanese culture and sees his role in the team as a divine mission. However, Takeo in Ultimis has less spiritual depth than his Primis counterpart and often comes across as distant or aloof. He fights to restore his honor, but his blind loyalty and pride often get in the way. He trusts no one completely, especially not Richtofen, and sees himself as the only one in the team who truly understands honor and duty. Primis, the mature warriors. Primis, which means the first in Latin, represents an alternative version of the four characters existing in a parallel timeline. Unlike the chaotic and unstable Ultimis versions, the Primis characters are more mature, reflective, and determined. They possess greater moral clarity with the goal of protecting the universe from the chaos of the ether and the undead. This version of the characters focuses on the heroes willing to sacrifice themselves to stop a greater threat. Primis Edward Richtofen. Primis Richtofen is a complex character who is less driven by pure madness and lust for power than his Ultimis counterpart. Although he is still ambitious and mysterious, he pursues a nobler plan in this version. His goal is to stabilize the multiverse and gain control over the ether to save reality rather than destroy it. He works more closely with the other characters, and while he is still not fully trusted, he shows a deeper sense of responsibility toward the team in Primis. His plans remain intricate and difficult to decipher, but it becomes clear that he no longer seeks personal power alone. He wants to save the universe, even if it means sacrificing himself. Primis Tank Dempsey. Primis Dempsey is more mature, reflective, and possesses greater moral clarity. While he remains the warrior soldier unafraid of battle, he develops a deeper understanding of the larger mission ahead of them. He begins to realize that it is not just about killing zombies, but about preserving the world and the universe from total destruction. Dempsey's relationship with Richtofen improves in Primis, as he recognizes that the scientist is genuinely trying to do the right thing this time. Despite still having a rough and tough personality, he develops a real camaraderie with the others, especially with Nikolai and Takeo, as they all fight against the supernatural together. Primis Nikolai Belinski. Primis Nikolai shows remarkable development compared to his Ultimis counterpart. He is still haunted by his past and the loss of his wives, but in this version, he is more sober and focused. Primis Nikolai possesses deeper emotional depth and often serves as the moral center of the team. He has a much more reflective view of his past and no longer struggles against his inner demons. Instead, he recognizes that he must fight for the good of the universe. Throughout the story, Primis Nikolai develops a deep bond with the others, especially Takeo, with whom he shares a kind of spiritual connection. He remains sarcastic and cynical, but beneath this facade lies a man ready to sacrifice himself to do what is right. Primis Takeo Masaki. Primis Takeo is the most spiritual and mature version of his character. In this dimension, he is fully immersed in his role as a Bushido warrior, but unlike Ultimis Takeo, he is less driven by blind loyalty and pride. Primis Takeo is a deeper character who views his mission as a spiritual journey. He sees it as his duty to stabilize the multiverse and restore his honor by saving the world. Primis Takeo develops a close friendship with Nikolai and Dempsey, showing remarkable loyalty to his team. His relationship with Richtofen is still marked by distrust, but he recognizes that they must all work together to combat the greater evil. Ultimis versus Primis, the parallels and differences. The greatest distinction between Ultimis and Primis lies in their personal development and understanding of honor, loyalty, and sacrifice. Ultimis. Is a chaotic, broken group driven by personal demons and selfish motives. They are often unstable, unpredictable, and work together rather reluctantly. Their actions are frequently marked by desperation, anger, and mistrust. The characters are deeply intertwined with their traumas and the darkness of their actions, leading to conflicts within the team. They are driven by the prospect of power and survival, but often lose sight of what they truly want to achieve. Primis on the other hand, is a mature, heroic version of the same characters. They have partially overcome their inner conflicts and work together decisively to avert a greater threat. This version of the team is much more altruistic and focused on protecting the universe rather than just securing their own survival. Their relationships with one another are characterized by trust, respect, and a shared mission. They recognize the necessity of setting aside their personal differences and unite to fight against evil.